Hello, welcome to this masterclass today. Thanks actually for signing up so early already, because many seats have already been taken very early in the process, which of course made us very happy, and we still are, right? We do have 4 great brands today on stage, and we will definitely try to make these 90 minutes worth your time. And what would make most sense is to just have a quick introduction so you know who we are and who we work for, what we do basically, right? And then get right into it. So I am joined today by Yannick Andersen, Head of Customer Strategy and Acquisition at bonprix, by the very experienced Lena Kleinwächter, who is Customer Engagement and Loyalty Strategist at Talon.One. And we are joined by Phil Lachmann, who is the CPG and Retail Lead for Braze in the DACH region. I am Felix. I am Customer Success Manager, or former Customer Success Manager at BRAME. Meanwhile, Strategic Account Executive. And we would like to show you some insights today, because the motto is thought leadership, right? It's about bonprix, it's about personalization, it's about gamification, it's about AI. And yeah, let's get to a quick introduction regarding the companies that we represent today. So basically we got Braze, right? Braze is one of the most exciting customer engagement platforms focusing on personalized real-time communication. We got Talon.One as basically one of the most exciting incentives engines on the market, focusing on loyalty and the intelligent steering of promotions. And we got BRAME, the interactive experience layer, adding gamified experiences and journeys basically on top of every marketing tech stack there is. So basically, we have 3 tech companies, and we have a real-life fashion retailer, bonprix, right? bonprix, everyone knows bonprix, I guess, founded in 1986, serving customers in 25 plus countries and making up to 1.9 billion euros in revenue, so a very big player on the market. And bonprix and BRAME are in active collaboration currently, but all 3 of us, that means Talon.One, Braze and BRAME, will refer to different aspects today, facing the challenges that bonprix is facing, because a lot of industries are facing these challenges, and we have a part for each of these. bonprix in general is a very good choice for this masterclass, because they got a big experience when it comes to e-commerce, right? They face well-known challenges, like many industries do, and they have very advanced approaches of tackling these specific challenges. So I'm very happy that we are on stage today, the 4 of us. But actually, as this is not only about this presentation itself, it's also OMR, right? That means we also have, of course, something for you. At the end of the presentation, you will see a slide with a QR code, and you will be able to play the game and win at least coffee. But if you're very lucky, you win AirPods, right? And can collect them right at our booth. But enough when it comes to introduction, enough when it comes to the context of who we are and what we do, because now it's time to get into it and to get to some insights. So I would hand over to bonprix. Yannick, the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Also a warm welcome from my side. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to you within the next couple of minutes about how we at bonprix are reinventing loyalty with AI, gamification, and personalization. Before that, very short and painless, you already heard the good introduction, but it's not 25 countries anymore, it's only 16 remaining. Our target group are female customers. We have about 10 million active customers in entire Europe. and our customers love to shop at bonprix via the web shop, and of course especially our great app. So I hope you all are already customers from bonprix. We have a turnover 1.24 billion euros. We have about 1,500 employees located in Hamburg, Poland, France and Italy. Yeah, and last but not least, we are part of the Otto Group. So loyalty, or let me put it like securing the active customer base, is a very important topic, especially today, because we all see acquisition costs are increasing. The competition, especially from China, is getting harder and harder. And yeah, loyalty is also a very complex topic. So what is loyalty exactly? It's an elastic term. And to narrow it down a bit, I see loyalty as a combination of three things. First of all, it's data and decisioning, the first pillar, where it's about how do we target our customers and why. It's about the engagement experience. So how do we really engage our customers in a compelling way so that we really engage customers to create something memorable. And the last pillar is about the incentive and loyalty mechanics that we use to really design the right incentive, the right communications to our customers, right? So, but before that, I would like that we think about some basics first. Because all the change that we drive, all the innovation that is part of our game, all the change is driven at the very last by people, right? It's about people. It's about people that drive reinvention. It's about people that really take these decisions at the end. And if it's about people, right, then you really have to deal with how and where you put or you invest your time. You allocate your resources. You spend the money, right? So you really have to look at the organizational setup at your company. And I love this picture because it shows you in theory how you should divide your time and your resources. And this is 70% in today's work, 20% in tomorrow, and 10%, the remaining 10% in day after tomorrow topics. So you can question yourself, how good are you at that? Right? Because in the last pillar, the day after tomorrow, this is where you create your business value for the future. This is where you have to work on in order to be or to remain competitive in the future as your business. So, and a lot of companies have problem with that. They fail. And why do they fail? One of the biggest problem is SOY, shit of yesterday, right? You are all working on processes that somebody told you has been done for years. You have to copy from this Excel file and put it into the PowerPoint. And are you re-questioning what you are doing? So it's really, we need this mindset shift, right? And without the mindset shift, you can have the 70, 20, 10 budget allocation, whatever, but this will not pay off at the end. So what you need are really people that move around, that are curious, that look around, right, in order to find new ways of performing for your business. Another aspect I'd like to mention is the topic of customer centricity. A lot of organizations are telling you as customers all the time, oh, we love our customers. We put ourselves in the shoes of the customers. We think like the customers do. And then they come with new features, new innovation, and they feel great. Oh, our customer will love it. And here the metaphor, the mobile, right? But this is what the customer is seeing, right? So you really have to test, because it's the test results that show you whether you are on the right track or not. So, but let's come to the first pillar, data and decisioning. So, of course, we at bonprix collect also a huge amount of data, right? And we use them to understand the customer through data. And we do not want to use data to explain the past, but to predict the future. And that's why we developed a predictive segmentation model that predicts each customer's value over the next 6 months, so that we can prioritize our CRM investments and make data-driven decisions. So we combined a 3-dimensional RFM logic with a predictive CLV approach. And the result is our customer value classification cube. And this is how it looked like. So it consists of several subcubes. And by that, we determine good customers from not that good customers. So I hope here you are all our star customers, right? So the best customers that we have. And yeah, the CVCC is the heart of bonprix's sales steering logic, to develop data-driven and automated customer effective measures across all touch points. So, and we use this construct to predict churn, to steer our personalization engagements, to grant promotions or not, depending on the customer quality. But what we also do is, as an example, we combine the CLV and the catalog uplift model to make our print decisions as efficient as possible. Because this is where we're coming from, catalog-driven business. And of course, we still have catalogs. But this model now helps us to answer the questions, or to answer the question, which customers should be equipped with the catalog on selection date. And what this model then basically what it does, is that it categorizes our customer base into 4 segments. And when it comes to the selection process of our print material, then we only go, of course, with the green segments. And this model then enabled us to significantly decrease catalog investments that are reinvented now or reinvested in upper funnel, mid funnel campaigns to build our brand and to acquire new customers. And we do not only use data for planned or upcoming advertising or measures, but also we make decisions, of course, in real time, right? So we developed this exit scoring model, and what this model does basically is that it calculates the abandonment probability of each session, and at least we need 7 clicks so that the model is up and running. And then it predicts the abandonment probability. And then if a certain threshold is exceeded, then we display a layer with a promotion. And right now it's a standard for every session, so we display a 10% discount. But of course, in an optimum, the layer would display the most relevant offer for each single customers. And I think Phil will take on later how you can do that. So, coming to the second pillar, engagement and experience. And I think you all know that promotions are important in e-commerce, right? But the question is, are they really engaging? Not mandatory. So they are used a lot of time for transactional reasons only. And this is why we at bonprix started to combine promotions with gamification elements. And this brings variety and creates better memory to the shopping experience of our customers. And this was the recent gamification element that we launched. This was the Easter calendar, which was only accessible within the app. And we could see an uplift of 120% of our app installs. Then we, during Christmas, we had some games to boost our repeat visits from our customers. And what it's also good for is that gamification also help companies to be more cost efficient with regard to promotions. Because instead of just granting 20% discount for everybody, you could use such spinning wheels where you offer between 10 and 20% discounts. So this decreases your costs. And what we also do is we integrate in this gamification elements newsletter checkboxes or push permissions, right? So we only grant access to some games where the customer has to leave the permission, or at least the email address. We also personalize the user's shopping experience. And for example, we suggest the right size for all our products to the customer, to each single customer. And the basis for the model are all the orders from the past, all the returns from the past. So the model is fed by the data, and the output is size advice. And the result is beneficial for both the customer and bonprix, because the customer has a good and better experience, and we as bonprix, we are reducing our return cost, right? So, the last pillar, incentives and loyalty mechanics. From a CRM perspective, this is always a balancing act of broad campaigns and targeted CRM campaigns. Because from a CRM perspective, we want to pursue a customer value-based investment to minimize date weight effects. And this involves, of course, first of all, that you carefully choose your channels, right? Print is very cost intensive, so you have to make sure that the customers, if you so want, deserve this kind of channel. Also, discount depths based on customers' value we grant. And second, additionally, our incentive strategy focus on how incentives are designed and not just given. So in bonprix right now, we want to heavily drive or shift our customers within the app. This is why we run app-only campaigns or hybrid campaigns. So where we grant 10% discount, for example, in the web shop, but 15 or 20% in the app, so that there's really a benefit for the customer to move into the app. Third, how is loyalty then delivered? At bonprix, we decided not to open a classic loyalty club, because we see loyalty clubs are most effective for retailers with physical stores, so that they can get the data from the customers paying within the store. So what we did and what we are launching now is the dynamic wallet with relevant offers for you. This needs, of course, that you log into our website or on the app, and then you will see for you personal promotions, games. We can also integrate games, right? And this is then how we leverage their data to provide tailored advantages. And finally, and this is one of the most important aspects from my side or from me personally, is how do your customers feel valued? Because I know at bonprix who are our star customers, who are the best customers. But the question is, do your best customers, and I'm sure you also know your best customers, but do your best customers know that they are your best customers? At bonprix they do, because we tell them. So we personalize our messages. When we have some engaging print formats like self-mailers or postcards, and we write a text and we say, hey Yannick, thank you for your good orders in the past with low return rates. Thank you for that. You are one of our best customers. We appreciate that, and we give you extra discounts. So from my point of view, it's crucial for fostering deeper customer relationships is really that you have this emotional appreciation also. Thank you. This was the first part.
Okay, due to the time, we would postpone the QA to the end of the session, and I would directly take over here. I brought with me a thesis or a statement for my part today. Brands that don't activate behavior through experiences will end up competing on price, right? We all know points and discounts create transactions. We know that that's a fact. But experiences create real loyalty, right? And we say successful players on the market will use every data point they own and convert these into such experiences. So to give you a bit of background regarding the challenges that we not only see in fashion retail, but also in many other industries, I want to show you the following. Probably you know most of that or all of that, right? Marketing spend delivers less return, right? Acquiring a new customer is anywhere from 5 to 25 times more expensive than actually retaining a customer. And on the other side, increasing customer retention by 5% increases profits by 25 to 95%, right? So we need to make sure that whoever we acquire, we retain. Second, discounts are eroding the brands that depend on them, right? Benchmark data from Accurious, for example, shows that 35% of all promotional sales are subsidized. That means that the people that get this discount would have purchased at full price anyway, right? Which is basically a catastrophe for the company. It's a catastrophe for margin, for the budget, and we definitely need to do something about that. And number 3 is that customers, and I think that's the most common thing to know nowadays, customers have become way harder to engage, right? In 2004, the on-screen attention span on average was 2.5 minutes. 2025, it was 47 seconds, right? So that means every brand needs to convince potential new customers in way less time than ever before. And that also comes down to loyalty members, right? Most of the loyalty members never really engage with the brand. They drop off before they ever get profitable, right? So we acquired new loyalty members, but we cannot keep them, so we lose money in the end, right? And these are the main challenges that we see throughout many different industries. And I want to give you a quick overview of how we would tackle these challenges at BRAME, but in general, we should tackle them. So to show you a bit where we are positioned, right? This slide is the most important one, because usually brands orchestrate different systems in the background, right? They build customer segments, for example, in a CRM or a CDP, and they decide who to target, right? Most brands schedule timing, let's say, and channels for communication, so they answer the question when and where to communicate. And most of the companies also handle their loyalty logics. That means basically discounts or promotions. And BRAME is basically placed in between all these systems and acts as an interactive experience layer that integrates with every given tech stack there is, right? And it requires no coding basically to configure. So the main thing is it can be connected to all of these systems, but it can also be used standalone. So not all of these systems are needed to work with BRAME and to get into gamification, right? Because ultimately, we want to use existing campaigns, existing data points, and incentives to basically convert them all into gamified experiences. This is what we want to do. We want to answer the question, why a customer should return, right? And I thought, how can I explain the, let's say, psychological background of all that better to all of you? And this is why I want to introduce you to my mom. This is actually my mom. That's not a fake picture, it's her. Yeah, she's 60 years old, but she feels like 55. She loves her Icelandic horse Freki. She loves to train with our dog, or let's say their dog, in dog training school. She loves garden work. So I would definitely describe her style as something between paddock cleaning dirty and Felix, take 3 pictures, my scarf matches my shoes. Yeah. So she values good value for money, but she definitely doesn't chase every trend. And what I want to show you is how my mom, interesting to say that today, how my mom is moving through the bonprix customer funnel, right? And how we would at BRAME support sustainable customer acquisition. So, my mom currently has a specific status, right? She's not a customer of bonprix yet. She hasn't made a purchase so far. She just discovered the brand for the first time, right? Through an omni-channel promotion, let's say, and she's looking for seasonal inspiration. Now, the key question is, why should she act right now? Why should she do anything in regard to bonprix, right? And we say what bonprix now needs, and Yannick also presented a bit about that regarding the gamified campaigns in the past. We say bonprix needs to show her immediate value. So she needs to feel that it's worth engaging right away. Low effort to start. It should be simple, should be intuitive, should be frictionless, and ideally a clear reward for her action, right? She needs to clearly understand what she gets if she now gets in touch with bonprix and ideally purchases a product, let's say. But what is the approach here? As you see, we have the life cycle stages here. She is now not more than a prospect, right? But we want to move her to the right, basically. Let's take a real-life example. So bonprix has 1 million followers on Instagram, and she is actually one of these followers. That's also true. She came back across bonprix on Instagram in this case, where that Easter app countdown was additionally promoted. And to participate, as Yannick already said, she couldn't just click on it, open it up on a landing page. She had to download the app, right? So she did so. And that from that moment on, that meant nearly 7 days of continuous engagement for her, right? As you can see, 27% of players actually played multiple times. So did she, basically, right? So one day she got lucky. She won a 20% discount in the spin the wheel, added it to the cart, basically used it and redeemed it in the shop. So this is what we call a game activation flow, right? Game activation flows are designed for instant activation impact. That means these are very good for driving downloads, driving sign-ups, driving opt-ins, and of course sales conversion too. So the real question is now, okay, we activate her, we make her purchase something, but how do we keep her now engaged, right? Because the next step is the interesting one. So again, new status, right? She's a new customer. She used that code. She purchased something. She bought a jeans in this case, and her first experience was positive, right? It was easy. She won something. The product fits. Everything is good. But to be honest, this is the exact moment when it's the most critical. Because 60 to 80% of consumers or new customers never get to purchase a second time. So at this point, my mom is at her most vulnerable as a bonprix client or bonprix customer, let's say. So the question still is, how do we keep her engaged, right? Because a generic experience now, something like a static discount, for example, from our perspective at BRAME, will most probably reduce her motivation to stay engaged. Instead, she gets the chance, or let's say, yeah, the chance, the best word here, to actually earn a reward for doing something. Because we say what is now important is personal relevance, a high perceived value for her, and active participation, right? We want to make her do something so she gets something, because then she's engaging with the brand. And implementing several of these actions, basically, create a sense of achievement. They are connected to a moment of surprise, ideally, right? And the best case, emotional memory. And I want to show you how this could look like. So now she is at the lifecycle stage, new customer, right? So what's the status quo here? She downloaded the app, right? And bonprix has a new opportunity. Bonprix can now reach out to her, new channel, one of the best channels. And bonprix can try to stay relevant beyond that first purchase. But some key signals are still missing, right? She didn't allow the bonprix app to send her push notifications. She didn't use the wishlist feature, for example. She didn't submit a review after the purchase. So bonprix definitely has a lot to get still from her as a new customer. And this is where targeted, behavior-driven activation comes into play, right? Because based on her status, bonprix can now play out a personalized game experience directly on the app's homepage. What you see right here, the yellow box, for example, with the woman holding it, could be, for example, such a mystery box, let's say, right? Bringing her a surprise and delight moment, right? Important here to mention, it doesn't need to be that woman, doesn't need to be that box, doesn't need to be that color, right? Could also be some ambassador for the brand or some mascot. Total creativity allowed. But the main point here is she cannot just open up the box and get something. She needs to do something for it, right? It's basically gated. So once she activates push notification and the system checks in the background, yes, she is eligible to open up the box, she will be able to do so. She taps to reveal the price, let's say. In this case, it's a 10% discount. But that's not everything, because now we had one action and we actually made her do it. We rewarded her. But we can also use the result page, for example, to show further and more of these, let's say, journeys, right? Do this, get that. Do this, get that. And some of you might think, yeah, okay, well, but now we are rewarding basically every action she's doing. True, we are, and to a certain degree, right? But we are not always giving away discounts every time. We can also give away that mystery box itself that holds a chance to get a discount, right? It's not the instant discount that the consumer or customer gets in this moment. And bonprix is, of course, learning a lot more about her, making her more valuable as a customer because she's enabling these things. In the bonprix ecosystem, my mom is now a returning customer, right? Ongoing visits to the bonprix online shop. She made basically 2 purchases. She has nearly an outfit complete, right? She enabled the push notifications, and she's actively engaging with the app. Through personalized push messages, bonprix now regularly reaches out to her, regularly contacts her with relevant content, but actually moving her from a customer that returns to a truly loyal one requires a bit more. Right? Because what matters at this stage is visible progress, status and recognition, and ideally community and a feeling of belonging, right? Because ideally my mom invests a small effort, whether it's completing challenges, whether it's exploring collections or unlocking rewards. because the more she participates, the more connected she gets to the brand, right? And where we want to go is basically is from isolated purchases to an ongoing journey. This is where we are trying to get her. And as I know, cross-category purchases are not only important in fashion retail, or not only for bonprix, let's say. We took that as the main point for the next thing I want to show you. So she is now a returning customer in the life cycle, right? But we want to now establish a habit. So what you now see here is a habit-forming challenge, as we say. She gets a personalized push notification. bonprix sends her on this habit-forming challenge, right? And it is pretty easy to understand, and it needs to be, right? It's basically complete 3 tasks, let's say within 14 days, to get something at the end. The goal here is to drive cross-category purchases. It starts pretty simple, right? Purchase 1 item from the Boho Looks collection. Let's see if my clicker, yep, perfect. And bring her to the point where she sees, okay, I really, you see it on the right, will have an advantage if I complete that challenge. Second thing, purchase an item from the shirts and tops category, let's say, right? So she does that, user makes another purchase, exactly, and progress is being updated. Very important here is she always sees where she's at regarding her own progress, right? And with every step she completes, she comes closer to the reward at the end of the challenge. And at the same time, bonprix learns a lot more about her preferences, about her style, right? Because within these categories, she chooses a specific item, right? I mean, it's a shirts and tops category, but what shirt, what top? bonprix learns. So this is a guided experience and gives her a sense of progress, right? As you now see from the beginning, where we had instant action and instant reward, we now got to a 3-step challenge with a reward at the end, right? And this is where we want to go. We want to basically introduce a habit, let's say, right? That people want to come back to the brand. So let's see. There was the last text missing. To maybe summarize how we see these 3 layers for sustained customer behavior, I want to show you the following. So first, game activations, right? Game activations answer the question, why should I act now, right now, as a customer? And it's based on, these are based on nudges, right? And nudges are single action triggers designed to overcome hesitation and to prompt immediate response, right? For example, time-bound activations, limited rewards, personalized incentives, right? These trigger action, but they don't sustain the behavior of the customer. If we want to sustain behavior, we need to introduce progression mechanics. Progression mechanics actually convert specific actions into a journey, right? Typical examples can be tiered activations or unlocking features, as I just showed you before. So basically complete this to get that, or complete this to access that. But progression in the end is very good, but it's not enough, I'd say, because if the journey ends, it's sometimes the case that motivation drops, right? So what we then need to introduce is the following: habit mechanics. Yeah, so we actually want to get to a point where the customer comes back without being asked for it. And a habit mechanic makes behavior self-sustaining, right? Examples can be, for the people in this room who use, for example, Duolingo, streaks, right? Quests and challenges, as I just showed you. And if I would summarize it, I would say nudges start behavior, progression shapes behavior, and habit mechanics actually sustain the behavior. And if you would like to learn more about that, feel free to join our webinar in June, where we just walk through the platform, because BRAME Studio got launched yesterday, so feel free to have a look. And we will explain a bit more about psychological background and more use cases. And of course, feel free to also check out the landing page, on which we have more information for all of you. Okay. So we try to get clients off using too many discounts, too much, too often. How is Talon.One's approach to that, Lena?
Well, first of all, we do have some time. You're really good at the time. So if anyone has a question. Yes? Ah, you're too fast on this one. You need to give people time to scan, right? But is there any question you would like to ask to Yannick or to Felix? Yes, there is one question. See? Wait, we have a mic and now you need to listen. So this is now interesting how this is working, because we all don't hear.
Did you skip over churn prevention? Say again, please. Did you skip over churn prevention?
Did you
skip over churn prevention? Was the question.
No, I didn't skip over churn prevention. That was planned, actually. We didn't cover it intentionally this time. Too short.
There's another question. I like this. Let's see if this is now working. You know, technical stuff. Yeah, they have it on.
Can you please hand it over?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear myself. Okay. What is the time between the different emails, actually? Do you have like a certain time slot or something in between, so that the customers are not getting like spammed all the time? Could you hear it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay, great.
you are asking bonprix?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have behind all our emails, we have of course tons and also massive emails that we are sending out, but we have a frequency model behind that, so that per customer, if the frequency is exceeded, then you will not get any emails anymore. And also we have a prioritization behind that, right? So there are some emails that are even push notifications that are more valuable than other ones, and so this is how we decide. Yes, but this is everything behind. So this is a logic that we built because of testing, right? So test results, we learn more, and then we take decision out of that.
My questions for you. Can you hear me? Okay. I want to ask if you do like interactively personalization for the shopping or for your segments, like do you recommend personalization products through not only like behavioral, but do you really like get to know them with questions and stuff, or do you ask like some questions and recommend products through that guiding experiences, like actively, like real time?
What we do is that we of course track all the data that you leave in the web shop, right? So, and what we do is that we have some triggers, right? Trigger emails or trigger push notifications that really act on your behavior that you did. But we are not right now. We are not questioning you. So, what do you like, and to profile you more and more. This would be or could be a second step. But what we do now is that we really engage on behalf of your behavior that you leave visible in the shop. Yeah.
Okay, well, you guys have been sitting here, right, for quite some time. So instead of asking you to swap places, I'm going to ask you to all look to the right. Come on, let's some physical activity. Rewire your brain. Okay, now look to the left. There you go. Physical therapy is done. We can continue, right? So you guys heard 3 things. You heard Yannick talk about how they're engaging with the customers, how they make sure that they're coming back, his CVCC, I think I got that one. But also then you heard about Felix and how they're trying to support emotional loyalty overall. And there's a number 3 in there, discounts. A lot of times we hear about discounts because that's actually one of our default things we do in marketing, right? We go back to discounts. That's just very easy and simple to do because everything in our tech allows us to do a discount, so that's fast, quick, done. But I'm standing here with a thesis that actually creative incentives, there can be a discount, there can be loyalty points, that can be a voucher, but all within the creativity, they will outperform discounts and they will build consumer loyalty. However, if we want to be creative, we have also to understand how do consumers react to promotions, to discounts, and why do they love them that much? So we went into details, into the research. And it's interesting, recent research shows that 72% of customers join and try a new brand because of a promotion. So here, that works perfectly. But then we also asked, like, okay, what makes you buy again? And 58% said that I will buy again for another promotion. Okay. But what about consumer loyalty? We talk about that like a big buzzword all the time, but what about that? And the consumer said that 35% said, yes, I will stay loyal because of a promotion. So you can say consumers do understand the differentiation between acquisition and trying a new brand, but also being loyal and buying more. So there's a differentiation they do understand. And what I like to do when I look at research, I try to flip it around. Because that means that there's 1/3 of your consumers who try your brand because of something else. And also, potentially 2/3 of your customers stay loyal because of something else. So it's not all about promotions overall. You might ask, who's she to talk about? I'm Lena, Customer Engagement and Loyalty Strategist at Talon.One. Talon.One is the leading loyalty incentives promotion engine within globally. We're working with more than 300 brands overall. And what these brands all have in common is actually they want to be better with incentives as well. They want to be more efficient. They want to support their bottom line. They want to build emotions. But if you want to actually really be better with your incentives, you have to understand how does your consumers react to incentives. So that's what we did. We tested 6 incentives across 6 countries with around 2,000 customers. And we said, imagine the scenario. You have to buy a pair of shoes for 100 euros. And then you have these 6 different promotional types, from a bundle deal, hey, buy a second pair and you get 50% off, or hey, you get directly 15% off, up to roll a dice or win FIFA tickets. Okay. And the consumers were asked to rate from a star to 1 to 5 these incentives, but also to describe them. And there was no surprise. The bundle and the discounts overall, they're winning, right? Not a surprise. But interesting is really that the bundle was perceived as better overall than the 50% discount. And we looked deeper into that. And you can say that consumers value and go for the value rather for the lower price because they paid now 150 euros instead of 85. Also, we changed the behavior and it's just a discount. We're just changing a little bit more creative, asking the consumer more to think a little bit more. And they like that even more. Even when we're asking how to describe the advertisement, they're saying that the bundle was more premium, higher quality. It's a discount. But still, you can be, with just giving out discounts, you can be better and even more efficient overall. However, acquisition works, right? This is, again, the acquisition game where, yes, promotions work, but we want to get down the acquisition cost, right? And that is over time when we're building a brand. So that's not really creative. But there was the roll a dice. And interesting is that the creative mechanics, including roll a dice, outperformed the discounts of all when we're asking about like how to describe that. And these are all the metrics how you build a brand. Roll a dice was memorable, exciting, unique, and innovative. That's what the consumer said. So here you can really say that the best incentives are then creative if it comes to building your brand overall. But to be fair, incentives in creativity, that's separate, right? Within marketing, we never put that together because, that just doesn't work. Let's go to discounts. It's just easier. And we within Talon.One, we see that a lot. And that's actually one of the reasons why our founder, Chris Gerber, founded Talon.One. He was also the founder of Lieferando, and he was like looking at his marketing team, really smart and creative people. They had great ideas, and they're like, hey, let's do this promotion. But we need the tech for that. And the tech was like, yeah, in 6 weeks. Yeah, promotion's over. Thank you. Doesn't work, no. And he's like, okay, I'm a problem solver. I'm going to find you the tech that you need. I want to enable our marketing team. He didn't find anything. And he's like, I'm just going to do it myself. He did. So we within Talon.One, we bring this creativity and incentives now together. But I always say, like, just giving you a platform, that's one thing. But you're still missing a little bit the creativity sometimes, right? So we took that on and we're like, okay, we went to theory and practice. So we looked at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, the fear of loss, the joy of gaining, but also Cialdini's persuasion principles. We used these from a theory point of view, but also then added to the Talon.One practice. Talon.One launched more than 50 loyalty programs last year. That's like every week a loyalty program. Like, we know what we're talking about. Also, when it comes in total about incentives, so also promotions we are offering, vouchers, we're doing all that. And hey, let's put that together and let's find ways how you all can be more creative with your incentives. And the outcome are the 8 creative currencies. If any Germans are sitting here in the audience, don't think about Währung, right? It's rather creative category, ideas, what you can do. And it goes from utility, where it's about solving a friction, a pain point, to cultural, to social, and also to consistency or counterintuitive. I have some examples with me today for these 3. So the utility currency is all about solving a pain point, a friction of your consumer. Think about rather your product as a service. IKEA did this beautiful advertisement, and it's a pregnancy test. So if the woman would pee on this advertisement and it's positive, you would see a discount for the crib. So really spot on, solving a problem for the soon-to-be parents in that moment. And you might be thinking here, like, that's a great campaign, but how can I do that? You know. So one of our clients is solving the friction of the rewards. A lot of times we get like a reward, like here's 10%, here's 15% on jackets, here's something, but we are told to take that. We don't have any power there. So our client, Food Asylum, is turning that around. They're giving the option, the power back to the consumer. They're like, here are 3 options. Which one do you like? And it's amazing what the redemption rate of these rewards are, because then all of a sudden the consumer says like, oh, this is mine now. I'm in power. I can choose what I want. I'm choosing this one. Yeah, thank you. So here really solving the point of a friction moment where the consumer is like, I don't feel attached to that. I don't like that reward. By offering that is a very nice way how you can, even without a loyalty program, you can do that too, Yannick. Yes. When it comes to cultural currency, Lego is always a great example. And for one of the Lord of the Rings movies, they brought out the gift with purchase. So if you would buy, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings person, so if you would buy that tower, right, and you're a Lego insider, you would get that flying thing over there as well. So again, I was sitting where you're sitting. I was a loyalty manager at Levi's, and a gift with purchase at Levi's is like, oh, here's a free bag. Is that really sexy? No, come on, right? So again, how can you support your customers in that moment with a cultural moment. And we have an example from the US where Dunkin' Donuts is actually offering the next day after the Philly Eagles, so the American football team, won, you get a free coffee. So you're like, oh, I'm hungover maybe, I'm tired, I have to go to work. Oh, but yeah, the Eagles won yesterday. Oh, why don't we go to Dunkin' Donuts, get a free coffee? That's the cheapest thing they can give you for free, right? And maybe you buy something else. But also they're really tapping in the emotional moment. They won. Let's celebrate that. There, nice. So you can think about what are your brand values? How can you support other brands that are local for you and actually tap that together? Then we also have the counterintuitive. That's the biggest fun for me, I'm going to say. Nike has this online right now. Dirty shoes. How could they? But they're actually really showing that these shoes, these ultra-fly trail runner shoes, are not made for OMR. No. They're out for like in the woods. You make them dirty. And they're showing that right here on the page, right? So actually showing the consumer something that they normally don't see. And it's very difficult, to be fair, to find other counterintuitive examples that all of you can do, because you have to be sensitive for that. However, I found another one that I think is quite fun, and it's from Cards Against Humanity. They hate Black Friday. So what they did the one year in Black Friday, they increased their prices from 25 to 30. Yeah, they still saw some sales spikes going up. But also the other year then, they shut down the shop. Oh, no surprise. But they're like, hey, just give us $5 for nothing. They made 70K. And you're like, well, people are stupid, right? We like some fun. Sometimes we are not rational. A lot of times within loyalty strategies, we are going for the perfect behavior. But we all are humans here. So why are we asking our consumers to be perfect? So here you can shake them up a little bit and be like, hey, why didn't you try something totally different today? So to sum up, consumers might come for the money, and they stay for more. But also, with emotions and the experience, also shown by Felix, you can really foster the loyalty. And creative incentives are more efficient. You can then reduce the discount. You have a higher rewards redemption rate, but also the customer acquisition cost is going down. And I don't know if you listened to Felix at the very beginning. He said bonprix was founded in 1986. So they're 40 years old. Congrats, happy birthday. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I take that as a possibility to look at their current campaigns and add the 3 creative currencies we just looked at and add that to their current campaigns. So I took what you saw, like, hey, that was the Instagram thingy, I think. But why don't they let them choose? Why don't you ask, like, hey, you want to have the bundle, right? We know now the bundle is working very, very good. So why not let them choose if they want to have a bundle, 10%, or 4 for 3 to really increase the basket size? Then I loved the campaign for the Hamburg Marathon. Then again, with AI, it's now possible that you ask your consumers, like, hey, share a picture. And if you have been supporting on the sidelines, we give you 10%. But also, hey, if you've been running it, great, we give you even 20. Yes, it's discount, but it's like, yes, I'm connecting something to the brand here. And then the counterintuitive one is like, yeah, you get 26% because year of 2026, right? But on 4 products. No. You have to buy 4 products. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. Not 5 either. So this way, your consumers are like, ooh, I really have to think about that. But also, what I had in mind for this one, Yannick, was, hey, if you give this campaign to customers with low baskets, those who only buy like 2 things, why don't you challenge them? And then they're like, oh yeah, but maybe I want to buy 5. No, I cannot buy 5, but which are the 4 I am going to pick? So that was what I was thinking. And there you go. Happy birthday in that way. But that's for him. So what's for you, right? And maybe you have, I'm going to say, the utility potential problem and currency. Here, I have something for you guys as well. Because if you are now going to Hamburg, spending all your travel budget and your your company's like, nah, you're not going to go to London to incentivize. No, well then, I have it here. I'm solving that friction point for you. So if you want to read, first of all, very important, the Creative Currencies report, you can do that, but also you can win a trip to London to the Incentivize Summit. You can also visit us at our booth. We are still there, and I can show the screenshot as well. So here maybe I'm supporting you with a friction point overall. I'm looking at Mike. If I talk too fast, if yes, then that was just a challenge for you to listen. Very good. Oh, we do have time for Q&A if you want to. If not, I will dance or sing. I made you laugh. There you go. That's good. Well then.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you. My name is Phil. Pleasure to meet you all. Before I actually start, I want to call out another thing. Felix, I think your mom will be proud of you today. It was his first time on an OMR stage, as I just learned, so just give him also another round of applause, please. Thank you. You did well. Yes, my name is Philip from Braze. My job today is actually to not only sum up the session and add the last piece of content. My job today is also to spice the CIV programs Yannick shared, the incentives we just heard from Lena, as well as the gamification tactics from Felix, with a little bit, a hype topic, I'd say, called artificial intelligence, and how AI is supporting us in modern customer engagement to drive even higher personalization, even more satisfied customers with less effort behind it. But before I actually start with explaining more about AI and personalization and customer engagement, I want to lead with a maybe provocative statement, and maybe some of you may not feel comfortable with that, basically outside segmentation is the enemy of personalization. In fact, the more you micro-segment and the more micro-segments you create, the more you move away from your actual customers. So, for years, next best action and manual A/B testing had been state-of-the-art of optimization. We actually heard a lot about prediction from Manik earlier today, but I will come to that in a second. We took broad segments, albeit a massive amount of micro-segments, based on scores, on propensities, and basically brought all together and tested those with a lot of manual effort, or are still testing those with a lot of manual effort. We heard about like maybe hundreds of tests to find the right frequency, the right content, the right incentive, the right tactic, the right channel, etc., etc. Yannick shared A/B testing is essential. I'm basically saying it shouldn't be done anymore. It shouldn't be done anymore, at least in the way how even potentially many of you are still doing it. Manually and with a lot of efforts behind it. Because what I hear from my retail and e-commerce customers a lot is basically, hey, this brought us to somewhere right now, but it's just working from a resourcing perspective on a few campaigns, on a few journeys, but we really can't A/B test and optimize and personalize everything we have to our customers. We just can't get it done. So in the end, we end up in still putting people into buckets. But are buckets really the thing our CRM program should be optimized for? Like generalizing customer habits and behaviors? I think we shouldn't. It's time now to start personalizing for people. Not for buckets, not for cohorts of people, not for segments. We should actually start personalizing on a true one-to-one basis. The thing that every marketer has dreamed of the last decade. How? With AI decisioning and AI agents now being available for all of our hands, making it technically possible to do so. But what is basically decisioning or decisions in all these terms of fancy AI? First and foremost, it's important to understand decisioning is not prediction, even though we heard the terms today maybe a little bit mixed up altogether. to give a high-level overview of how we differentiate it. Let's say AI is machine learning for the ease of things right now. We categorize 4 different areas. First of all, the term we just talked about and heard about a lot today, predictive GMV programs, predictive scores, etc. It's prediction. It's supervised learning. It's looking into the past, predicting in behavior, making adjustments to our campaigns in a manual way, and then saying, okay, for these segments, we do X. Then we have pattern identification as a second category, unsupervised learning. That's often used for paid media optimization when it's all about pattern recognition and, for example, creating lookalike audiences based on seed informations. Then the holy grail of like Gen AI. Everyone talks about it right now. For example, LLM-based personalized text copy for a push message or for a birthday email campaign or so. And last but not least, decisioning. So when we look under the hood of decisioning, we basically talk about the method of reinforcement learning. So what is reinforcement learning? Imagine a multi-step cohort of digital agents that basically work on your behalf. These agents just don't follow static if-then rules, as we have actually it with prediction. They're basically programmed to continuously explore and learn. Every time an agent makes a one-to-one personalized decision, it looks at the result. Has this decision, this personalization effort, driven you towards a conversion uplift or to another business KPI and to hit it? Then it's actually rewarding itself. That mathematical reward then leads to strengthening that path of decisioning over time. If it's not leading to an uplift, if it's not leading to something positive, it's penalizing themselves and immediately decides to take another action, another channel, another variant of content, etc., to always self-optimize. So basically, we are moving away from next best action, and with the ability we have now at hands with decision and agents, we're talking about next best everything. So let's take the scheme we have seen from the beginning and basically flip it on the head. We are not starting with grouping people into something, testing and seeing what is the uplift. We are basically taking the business KPI and what we want to see to be improved at the very beginning of our personalization efforts. So with that, we basically have a second step, a so-called action bank. This is where all the content lives and all the things and all the dimensions we actually want to personalize. And here our lovely partners come into play, right? We have, for example, the offers, the promotion offers from Talon.One. We have the different games or even gamification displays and possibilities BRAME is offering as a dimension in itself. So what works best for Felix's mom maybe is not working best as a gamification tactic for me, very likely. And then we have also what bonprix is or should more focus on, right? It's the content creatives. It's like the brand team. Like what content is resonating potentially well? What are options we want to test out? And then we have the standards like CRM is usually owning, the channels, the send times, etc. So we have this action bank. And then in the end, it's basically auto-optimizing. If, for example, someone gets that percentage of discount, that creative number 15 on a Monday 2 p.m., or maybe a different incentive program on a Friday morning. Now, when I talk about this to my retail and to my e-commerce customers at the moment, I sometimes get now the challenge, basically asking, hey Phil, aren't we simply just creating microsegments and tons of microsegments doing so? And we basically don't. Because what is a segment? A segment is something we label based on actions and behavior that happened in the past, right? Someone is doing something or is not doing something, and we put him into or her into a segment. Then we label the segment, and then we have a defined action route of what to do with this individual. So with agents, we basically don't do this. We have an always-on, living and breathing one-to-one personalization for each and every one, and basically are very reactive and very active and able to personalize on these individual behavior and that digital DNA, which can change every second. So where does this now live in potentially your MarTech stack or data stack? That AI decisioning layer is something which basically sits on top of your data sources, can connect to content driving systems like content management system, like loyalty systems, like gamification platforms, can consume also predictive models, very important, and then basically decides what to send to whom, when, on what channels, for example. So it gives then to something and these decisions over to your engagement and activation platform. And I just want to stress once again, if you have done predictive analytics a lot in the past, and if you're still doing so, please don't throw it away. Those prediction scores, those propensity models, all this work are very valuable data points for all these AI agents to learn from, to take into account, to enrich the understanding of each and everyone within your database, to then basically self-optimize the decisions on the back of it. I brought to you one example. Of course, we can't have this session without talking business value of how this looks like. US electronic camera retailer, you probably can sense whom I'm talking about looking at the email, has personalized the frequency, the subject line of their always-on repurchase campaign and the creative based on AI decisioning. Of course, they have in their BAU, in their business as usual, done some dimensional optimizations already, but not all at once, and not all basically always on this campaign. By the way, repurchase, we talked about, 60 to 80% of retail and e-com customers basically are not going to make the second purchase, something I also hear very regularly in largest e-com brands here in our region. So what they have achieved is basically an 11% uplift in revenue per customer. 11%. With basically having the AI deciding what to send whom, when exactly. I think by now you get it. So now let's look under the hood a little bit of how these decision metrics is looking like. So this metrics shows exactly how the recommendations are done based on that digital DNA or like the omni-channel DNA of your customers. For example, look at customers who have visited the web store in the last 30 days. Who would have thought that basically including an emoji in the messaging, let it be email in our example or push messages, is actually having an impact why there's a decreasing preference for customers if they potentially see a product in the push notification or in the email messaging itself. A human marketer might never assume this and never have actioned on this. Similarly, for power users who have actually a high camera capture count, so a product-related data point, the AI detects a strong preference for a longer message copy rather than a shorter one. So these kinds of micro adjustments to your always-on campaigns or ad hoc campaigns are just too much of effort to do by a human, regardless of the tooling behind it. So overall, in the end, I think we are all on a journey on that AI maturity in our CRM programs. We had Gen AI, and you would be surprised to see, and maybe you know it yourself best, that how many brands are still also sticking in Generation 1. Maybe not for the highest value journeys and campaigns they're doing, but maybe for the rest, the long tail of campaigns you still have in your program. And you basically send out one size fits all. Then we have what I call Generation 2, where I think most retailers still sit in, where we have one-dimensional optimizations, where we optimize the channel, test it, where we optimize the content, test it, or where we optimize incentives, test it, etc., etc. All good, but simply nothing we can scale across the whole program and across all our customers. And now we're entering Generation 3, where we really talk multi-dimensional optimization all at once. We have all these different elements we can personalize. You all know about it. And we basically test all at once for each and every customer. We have now the technology at hand. We from Braze can, of course, give you the technology. But this is certainly something, yeah, we have a paradigm shift right now, and it shouldn't be missed out. So to sum it up, I basically have only one question. Where are you right now in the journey? And we are all very happy to chat you through, again, this question and your journey step right now at our booth after our presentation today. We are here today, tomorrow, in A1 booth G04, and yeah, happy to meet you all. Thank you. I think there is now some Q&A possible, and we have time left. We have time left. Any questions? Yes, there is a question. So who is running? And so we now need to just put up.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Nicola. I'm from Ananas e-commerce. We are a regional marketplace in Serbia. So my question for you is, with the AI recommendations, well, decision making, let's say, is it a decision? When do you let it? Have you seen use cases where you allow it in a certain, let's say, field and you let it do the decisions for you, or is it more like here's a recommendation and the human interacts and says, hey, do it or not? Are you in that journey? Because we're doing something similar with dynamic pricing, but we are like 50-50. Yeah.
I mean, we could answer this question very broad, right? We could answer this question with like, do you trust AI, right, at the moment? And trust need to be built, right? We could also say you need to build up a relation to your agents first and see how they're delivering. The short answer is, yes, the principle is let the AI do. Let the AI do potentially with some testing included, right? Like we can't get really rid of it. Choose a market, choose a campaign. Yes, of course, it depends. We just are about to kick off a very interesting project in summer on AI decisioning with an e-com company. The question is like, are you starting with like a high value campaign, right? Which is potentially driving a lot of GMV. But maybe it screws up something, right? Or are you just testing a low-value campaign, but where you can't screw up something? And I mean, we talked about growth mindset in the beginning of the presentation. I think this is really where it's a lot about stakeholder enabling internally and getting everyone on the right. I mean, we could talk about innovation processes now, but it's, yeah, the answer is let the AI do. Of course, we can have constrained decisioning, and there are guardrails. Yeah, so there is guardrails about when we have incentive included in the action bank to not exceed a certain amount of money, of course, right? There are protection guardrails when it's about keeping profitability per customer units, in line with what is like the most risk you take. And of course, this is nothing you plug in and then it just happens, right? So maybe as a project-related answer here is, we usually see 3 months of integration time to this, like getting the data in, getting the semantic of data right, etc., setting up the action bank, integrating the partners into the action bank. And then we have around, we always say 8 to 12 months of training. And in this training phase, like AI scientists are basically working together with your data team and your CRM team to also build that trust and to see, how the agents are learning and how they're actually driving business results before then being like fully ramped up, I'd say after half a year of project, right? Okay, welcome. Any other questions? Yes, there's on the left-hand side.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentations. Really, really interesting. My question is a little bit, maybe for Felix, a little bit more about gamification and incentives. So I can completely understand how this works for something like bonprix with very low average order value, someone spending less than 100 euros. I work for Canyon Bicycles, which is a direct-to-consumer bicycle company. So our average order value is almost 2,000 euros. Do you have examples of sort of, longer product life cycle or bigger average order value, and how you can use that gamification to build loyalty for customers that are not purchasing 4 times a year?
Can you hear me? All right. I mean, the main question for me is, you are selling bicycles, right? Am I right? Are there any other things you sell, you offer, anything value added whatsoever? Because then I would say, if you are saying yes, yeah, kind of, then I would say this might be actually the angle to tackle, right? Because if your customers purchase a bike and they don't know what other things you are offering additionally to that, right, that's a problem. And I'd say that might be one of the options you might have, right? Even for very high value products, because I think the question is a very good one, to be honest. And the good thing is, because this was now about fashion retail, right? It was about bonprix, very much tailored to their, let's say, customer base, to their business model. But basically, every data point that you have, whatever information it might be regarding your customers or your prospects, right? This can be used basically to be a trigger for such a gamification campaign. So it doesn't need to be, for example, let's say cross-category purchases. It can also be, maybe doesn't really fit your case, but just to give you an idea of what I mean, it can be visit the store 3 times a month, or 3 times in 6 months, let's say, or bring a friend, for example, right? All of these data points that you can collect and that you have in your system can basically be used. So we definitely would need to have a look on that, but I already see some options.
I want to add on that, because a lot of times we see that as well, and I always ask, like, don't think about transactions. Ignore the transactions and think about all the other behaviors you want to have of your customers. What are those? Newsletter subscription, download the app, and then your customer is not thinking about buying all the time, but they're following you on Instagram because they like your brand. So make that something part of the challenge, let's say, right? What are other connections that you can have? How can you think about non-transactional moments where you can interact with your customers and make that part of a challenge then? Let's do the challenge over 6 months. Make it small. Test and learn what your customers like or not, but ignore the transactions for the moment. That's the starting point, I would say, there a lot of times, to not get stopped there. I have a question to you. Have you ever heard a guy say that many times, "Mom," on a stage, huh? I had to say that. Does your mom know that you did this? She doesn't know about today?
She knows, but she doesn't know. She knows, but she doesn't know I have the picture, to be honest. Maybe she watches the recording. Let's see. Any more questions? My mom is not here, no. Unfortunately not. But I don't know if this would have calmed me down, right? All right. I want to just leave this on the table. All right, maybe to close this round, first, thank you very much. Thanks, Yannick. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Lena. Great input. Sorry, I don't want to stand in the picture. Now you have the chance to spin basically the role here. Scan the QR code, play. You can win coffee, as I said. You can also win AirPods. Feel free to come by to our booth in Hall A1. And thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time and staying till the end. All I can say is thank you very much and have a great afternoon. Thank you.